Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you've never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you've stopped by. Today, we are reviewing the Sigma Cor De Rosa palette. And if you haven't seen this palette, you are in for a treat because it's pretty gorgeous. Or I think so, anyway. If you don't like these tones, then you probably won't think it's gorgeous. But I do think it's gorgeous. It's got what appears to be a really beautiful mix of rosy tones. I've seen tons of pictures on it. I've seen tons of pictures of it. I haven't seen it in person. I've seen it once in person, but it was just a quick glance because I was on an Instagram live and I was asked to show it, and I did, and I peeked. But I put it back in the box very quickly so that I could save my true first impressions for on camera with you guys. So here we are. So if you want to see what the Sigma Cor De Rosa palette looks like, what it swatches like, what I think about it, what it performs like, and what kind of look that I create with it in the end, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. So this is what the palette packaging looks like. It has all of the roses all over it. It is so pretty. It looks like it would smell like roses. And then here's the back. It shows all the shades, and it shows that it comes with a double-ended Sigma brush. One end is a fluffy end and the other end is a shader end. And it shows all the shades that are within the palette. And then let's open it up. And let me know if you guys prefer what I did on my MAC Selena collection review. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it right up here and you can check it out if you'd like. But with that video, I held the products in front of my phone and recorded the close-up of the products there. Let me know if you prefer that or if you prefer me holding it in front of my face like this, but close up on the DSLR camera. I wanted to try that for the first time the other day and I kind of liked it, but I don't know. I want to know what you guys prefer. Let me know in the comments below, please. So this is what the palette looks like itself, the actual component. It also has that really beautiful reflective background so that the shadowing of the roses looks like it's like silvery rose reflective. It's really, really pretty. I love it. Then on the back, it shows the shades that are in the palette. Again, just doesn't have the brush on there like it did on the unit carton. Then let's open it up. It does have a plastic protector. Oop, well, it did have a plastic protector. And it looks exactly like the front of the palette, which is really, really cool, I think, anyway. Yeah, that's neat. I'm not gonna throw that one away this time. And now let's see the actual palette. There she is, the Sigma Cor De Rosa palette. And before we get into swatches, I'm gonna go ahead and read off of Sigma's website what the description for this palette is. It shows that it was $49, first of all, which it was $49. I also ordered a couple of brushes at the same time. Actually, I think I ordered one of the brushes that the double-ended brush is, which is kind of funny. I didn't realize I was doing that. Then the description says, blossom in beauty with this bouquet of warm, matte, shimmer, and metallic shades. Inspired by our best-selling Aura Powder Blush, Cor De Rosa. I didn't realize there was a blush. I could see that shade being a blush, for sure. Man, I wish I would have realized that, then I would have ordered the blush at the same time and tried it out. Oh well. This palette epitomes the beauty, love, and joy of roses. Cor De Rosa meaning color of the rose. Features 14 eyeshadows in buildable, blendable formulas, and a dual-ended brush for looks that embody classic elegance. I could definitely see this palette embodying classic elegance. It does look like a very elegant palette. And this brush feels so good. It would explain why this palette was about 50 bucks, because you're getting technically 2 mini Sigma brushes in it, which do feel really, really good. Very soft, very firm, in a soft, firm way, if you know what I mean. Now, let's go ahead and get you guys zoomed in so that we can swatch this palette. The first shade is the shade Belle of the Ball. Oh, wow. It's so pretty. Ooh. Then the shade Veranda, or Veranda, whichever way you want to say it. I think it actually is Veranda. It's literally my skin tone. The shade Sun Sprite. Ooh! The shade Damask. Next is the shade Shakespeare. Then the shade Apricot, High Society, Bare Root, the shade Hybrid, Medallion, Campfire, Dark Night, Summer Song, and the infamous Cor De Rosa. Oh wow, that has a slight sheen to it that I really couldn't see in the palette. Okay, and that is the entire Sigma Cor De Rosa eyeshadow palette. And you guys know, as always, I will insert photos of the swatches, one with flash here, and one without flash here. And here is a video close-up of the swatches to catch all of the glimmer and glitter and glitz and shine, and to get the real tea on the shades of the palette. This palette has a very clear, definitive difference between shimmer and metallic, which I love. This Belle of the Ball shade, chef's kiss. It is the piece de resistance, it feels like. And Campfire and High Society and Cor De Rosa. I did not expect Cor De Rosa to be a slightly shimmery shade at all, because it does not look like it has any kind of shimmer in it in the pan at all. I don't know how well that would go for me personally as a blush. I don't do the whole shimmery blush thing. However, maybe we'll give it a shot this video. Maybe. We'll find out. Either way, I'm gonna go ahead with my P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 01 and my Morphe M173 brush and prime my eye off camera, and I'll be right back. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you guys that this palette came with a gloss collection as well, or this collection came with a gloss collection. It was all a collection, but I couldn't get the 3 glosses. Not this time anyway, but you could get the lip gloss trio for $48, and it contained 3 lip glosses, as I said. All 3 of them shimmery, and all of them inspired by the Cor De Rosa shade. So one's like a more pinky tone, like very pinky tone. One is more of like a coppery pinky tone, and one is more of like a maroon pinky tone. Just thought I'd let you know, just in case. They probably have their own names, but I don't know what that is. So we just aren't going to talk too much about those. Now I'm going to use the brush that comes with this palette because it's just so pretty. I love Sigma brushes, in case you guys don't know. Honestly, if I could afford them, I would make them my primary brushes, but I'm more of like a Morphe brush affordability kind of guy rather than a Sigma brush affordability kind of guy. Don't get me wrong, I have a Sigma brush kit. I just don't have like a lot. But I'm gonna start with this E35 tapered blending brush from Sigma. It is dirty. I know, there's a first time for everything. But I'm gonna just color switch it in here. Make sure I don't have any pigment left. And as a just in case, I'm gonna take my Bodyography Pro brush cleaner, give it a quick 1-over spritz. Love that. And just wipe it off on the paper towel. Just to make sure I don't get any of this green. Oh, yellow. It was yellow. That's what I used. It was like a yellow brown. But I want to make sure I don't get any of that on this look. Okay, we seem clean. Ooh, now what to start with? There's so many beautiful shades in this palette. There's so many different transition tones and so many different types of rose-inspired tones. This palette actually excites me for like creating a wearable everyday look, but with variety. I don't feel like I'm limited by this. There's even a few tones in here that I think if you had really deep skin that you could pull off wearing these shades in the crease as you're transitioning transition shade, which is awesome. I love that. I guess let's start out a little bit lighter and we can deepen it up as we go if we choose to. I'm gonna start with the shade Veranda, and I'm gonna use that as my transition kind of all over shade. And the way I like to use shadow, I don't like dusting the brush off or tapping the excess shadow off of the brush at all. If I can help it, it kind of depends on what I'm using. If I'm using glitter, no, usually I just don't like doing it because I want the max potential of pigment to be applied to the eye, especially on a tacky base that I just put on. Now, if I finished my face makeup, there's no way I'm not gonna tap out the excess from the brush. But using it like this, with not tapping off any excess, this shade is building up really, really beautifully. It does look a little bit deeper than I thought it was going to on my eye. Maybe it's because I used such a stark base. The base is definitely much closer to white than it is my physical skin tone. It's a very pretty color though. Okay, she's a very smooth shadow. Not too powdery, not too dry. It's like just creamy enough. It blends out nicely. It looks really pretty. Just the shade itself is really pretty. I think I'm gonna stick with this soft rosiness that the palette kind of gives. You know, I would kind of like to stick to the whole light, soft, rosy glam that I feel like this look is heading toward. I was originally thinking about going like what I normally would go with and pick like the brightest colors and the deepest colors so that I can make it as dramatic as possible. But I kind of want to go a little bit lighter and softer today. So I'm going to use the E38 Diffuse Crease brush. This is the fluffy brush that comes in the palette itself. And I'm going to use the shade Hybrid next. It's a very pretty, almost corally orangey pink, but if you added like a bunch of white to coral. I'm just gonna build this up in the crease and take it almost all the way to the inner corner, but not quite. Ooh, wow. She is a rosy coral if I've ever seen one. That is a really pretty shade. She definitely overpowers Veranda. That's okay. We will add Veranda back in so that Veranda's not lost to the world. We can't lose Veranda, and there's still so many more possibilities. Now I'm just gonna use Veranda again. I am going to tap off all of the excess this time. Now that I'm digging into Veranda, Veranda is actually pretty powdery. It didn't seem like it at first. Maybe it was just that top layer that wasn't, but it is very now that I'm like really getting into it. But I'm just going to use that shade to bring back my transition just around the edges of Hybrid to make sure that I have a smooth blend between the coral shade and my skin tone. Or I guess in this case, the base tone. Because you know I'm all about that base tone, about that base tone, about that base tone. Man, that was a mouthful. There we go. That's working very beautifully. You want to see how soft Veranda is? I will show you how soft Veranda is. It's almost acting as soft as a shimmer. Can you see the actual brush strokes in the pan? Maybe, possibly, no? It's just very soft, which is kind of nice because that usually means that you're gonna get a lot of pickup whenever you do pick it up, which means you're gonna have a lot of lay down whenever you lay it down. You know, if you pick up a lot, you're gonna put down a lot, usually. Or it's gonna fall over your face, depending on how you use it and look at it. In this case, it just laid down a lot. It did not end up all over my face. Thank goodness. It's such a dainty look so far, and I really hope that's how it ends because I'm really liking this, like a lot. Now I don't have like a smaller detail Sigma brush. I kind of wanted to just keep this Sigma if I could, but I can't. So I'm going to use this BH Cosmetics number 8 brush from the Take Me Back to Brazil brush set. And now I'm going to go into the shade Summer Song. Another very powdery shade. This one I did tap off the excess because it's so dark, well, comparatively, that I'm afraid if I don't tap off the excess, it's gonna take over the look and get really crazy really fast. And again, I'm only keeping this toward the outside of the crease because I do actually have a plan for the inner corner. The Cor De Rosa shade is very inspiring to me because that's kind of what the whole collection is about. So once I get to the point that I can, I'm gonna blow it out really big in the inner corner and hope that it doesn't look like crap. I'm very hopeful, but I'm just gonna take this shade, probably 2/3 in. Yeah, there we go. I can tell why they called this shade Summer Song. It's so warm. It can definitely represent summer. And these shades are just melting together. I have no patchiness, no weird spots or anything, no grossness happening. It's making me happy. This is such a beautiful shade. It's very terracotta-y, but it's a little deeper. Like it has more of a brown in it than it does a terracotta. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's a very unique shade. Beautiful. Then for continuity's sake, I'm just gonna go back in with the other two brushes, re-emphasize the other two shades to make sure that I don't lose all of the work that I did with them, and I'll be right back. Something I've now discovered about these shades is that they can become very pigmented and built up very quickly, because that's where I got with the shade Summer Song. Don't get me wrong, it's a very beautiful color, and I like it where it is. It just kind of got very pigmented very quickly. That is all. Now I want to try and build up the lid a little bit and see if I can get some beautiful color going on there. I want some shimmer in this look. I don't want it to be all matte. Plus, from the moment I opened this palette and swatched these metallic shades, I've needed them on my eye. Needed. So I'm gonna take this Morphe shader brush. It's from the Sweetie brush collection. Forgot the name of the brush collection. It's like Iconic or no, it's not. I don't remember. But I'm gonna take this and go into the shade Campfire. You know, it still blows my mind at how many options I still have available to me to be able to use with this palette. Not necessarily options with colors. I mean, yes, still that many options, but just so many possible avenues that I can take for a color story, for a look. Yes, they'll all be like rosy, but I can go more corally rosy like I have done. I can go more pinky rosy. I can go more brown rosy. I can go really deep brown. I can go more terracotta, which is kind of what I did. This is like coral and terracotta combined. Anyway, it says a lot about this palette, in my opinion, for it to be so versatile with just 14 shades. I know plenty of other 14 pan palettes that are definitely not that versatile. With a brush, this shade is beautiful. It looks like a beautiful satin type metallic. It's not, I don't want to say metallic. It's more like a, do they have the name? Matte, shimmer, and metallic. Okay, it's a shimmer. It's definitely a shimmer, not a metallic. But it's really pretty shimmer. Now that we know what it looks like with a brush, let's see if we can add a little bit of extra luster with my ring finger. Oh. Luster? Oh yes, so much luster. It makes it so much shinier. The oil from my finger is fantastic. You know, if it wasn't unsanitary and gross, I would completely patent the oil on my finger and sell it, because it works great for eyeshadows. Ooh, I'll put it in an aerosol can. That way you guys can spray it on your brushes. We can call it Essence of ChristopherJMUA. Chris Essence. Yes, I love that. Crescessence. Now I'm just going to spray a little bit of crescessence on my brush. Guys, oh my gosh. This is a capital idea. I love this. I really want to use the shade Cor De Rosa now, so I'm going to go into that shade using the Morphe M330 tapered pointed blending brush. I wanted it to be pointed so that I could really get like right here. I don't want to target just the inner corner, but I want to target like the inner area of the eye. So let's go into Cor De Rosa. Ooh, very powdery. Very, very powdery. I am going to tap off the excess because I'm slightly scared of that. And we are going to take that right in the inner corner upward. Huh. Where did the shimmer go? Like, didn't the swatch have some shimmer in it? I could have sworn. The great news is that that shade is pretty much the same color as everything else I have going on my eye, like that corally terracotta rosy combo tone. So it does work out perfectly for it to be an inner corner color, but it's not going to be the inner corner highlight shimmer like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be lighter than everything else and have a little bit more of a glow than everything else, because it looked like it had shimmer in it, kind of, but like a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Since it doesn't, kind of need to improvise. But I do still like the color a lot. I just need to put something over it to make it a little more shiny. I am even more excited to use that as a blush now though, because it doesn't have the shimmer that I thought it had, and I do like the color of it. So that's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm just gonna blow this out really quick and go back in with Campfire just to make sure my edges are laid. And now, for the most exciting moment that I've been waiting for, the piece de resistance. As I said earlier, I'm now going to go into the shade Belle of the Ball. And I'm going to use both the E20 Short Shader Sigma brush, which I'm going to use for my brow bone, and the Morphe M416 brush, which is actually, I think, a brow bone highlight brush, but I'm going to use it for my inner corner highlight brush, because I want to make it a big inner corner highlight. We're gonna try without spraying it first, just to see what happens. Oh, it's like silk. It's like I'm pressing into silk. It's beautiful. Okay, so moment of truth. Oh, she's like rose tinted glass. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, and I just inhaled her and she's chunky in my mouth, but that's okay. That won't stop me from loving her. Oh, can you see? Oh, that is gorgeous. Now let's see what it looks like on the brow bone. Not as intense. Probably the brush I'm using, but not nearly as intense. Not as gratifying, anyway. Let us try another one. How about something a little more compacted, like the Dalton Detail Dazzler brush? Let's see if she can compact a little bit more. Oh, never mind. It worked. But it picked up what seems like to be glitter. I think for using these kinds of brushes, I would have to spray it. Let me actually go ahead and try the inner corner highlight brush that I used, the Morphe M416, and pick up the same shade and see if it'll go on a little more intense on the brow bone with that. Oh yeah, okay, there's the foil. I wonder why the shader brush didn't work like that. Because it's essentially the same type of bristles, although, oh, the Sigma brush is much less firm than the Morphe brush was. So maybe that's it. Maybe you need a really firm brush to pick up Belle of the Ball to lay it down extra foiled looking or extra metallic looking. So that's good to know because that shade and Sunsprite are metallic shades. So note taken. I honestly feel like I could use this shade for just about any look that I create as my inner corner highlight. I kind of really want that as a single. Sigma, do you hear me? Can I have Belle of the Ball as a single? Maybe in like ColourPop Super Shot packaging, something like that, where I can reseal it and keep it nice and fresh for forever and ever. Because that tone could probably pair with anything. Oh, never mind. It is very rosy. In the pan, it looks like silver rosy, but it is very rosy. So it could work with, well, rosy looks or nude looks. Well, that's really it for what I had planned, but I feel like I'm missing some dimension. And that's because I always go dark, or I always go deeper in the crease, and I'm not this time. And it's weird. Oh man, I forgot to use the other end of the brush that came in the palette. Oh well, that's what I could have used the shade Campfire with. What's done is done. I'm gonna add in Bare Root, but I'm going to take the tiniest bit of it. I'm gonna be so careful. It's gonna be the carefulest careful that anyone has ever carefuled before. So it's really careful, okay? And we're gonna carefully use the Morphe M456 because it's extra small, but it's really good at blending out crease color. So I'm just gonna tap a tiny little bit, just like that. And you know what, just to be safe, I'm also gonna take some Summer Song. So we have some Bare Root and Summer Song, tapping off the excess and applying it in the crease on the outer corner first so that I can see what it looks like. I think that's gonna be perfect. I do. I think that's gonna be so perfect. I'm so glad that I tapped into Summer Song with Bare Root because I feel like Bare Root by itself was gonna be extra deep and scary. So glad we avoided that dilemma. And I'm just taking this shade up to right above where my crease touches my lid when I open my eye and relax it. So that way I can cover up my cut crease. You know, that's really the only reason why I don't like it whenever I don't have dark shades in my crease, because that dimension takes away my hoodedness. And that's why I love it so much, because it makes it look like I don't have hooded lids no more. At least kind of. Now I'm only putting this shade on the outer corner. I really don't care about putting it toward the inner corner. The inner corner is completely fine being bright, colorful, and light. Just want it right in here, just to make it look a little bigger, a little deeper, as you might say. And take it out into the wing shape a little tiny bit. Blend it back in so it's not an L. Beautiful. Now taking just a little bit of Summer Song by itself on the BH Cosmetics number 8 brush and blending this out. That way I don't carry the darkness too far up, but I can still leave the beautiful orangey pinky tone that I have. And done. Yay! Oh, that is so much better. And it's so crazy how it was just a tiny little bit of a difference, but it changed to the whole thing. Now I feel like I have the adequate amount of dimension added to the look. And luckily, I don't feel like it got too dark. I feel like it still stayed on that corally rosy type tone, and it didn't just get way too drastic, way too fast. So luckily we're still in good shape. So now I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all of this mess under the eyes and clean up the side of the eye, make sure that my lines are straight and even. I'm also gonna go ahead and go off camera and finish off the rest of my face makeup, well, all of my face makeup. And once I do that, I will be right back so that we can finish off the lower lash line and I can give you my final thoughts on the Sigma Cor De Rosa eyeshadow palette. So I'll see you guys in just a second. And we are back with the finished face of makeup. Got the lashes on, the face done, the lips done, well, the top lashes on. Didn't put mascara on the lower lashes yet because we need to now finish the lower lash line. Now we obviously have a very vibrant, bright, corally, rosy color story going on the top for sure. So I'm thinking I kind of want to continue that onto the lower lash line, but I want to make it a little bit darker, just a tiny little bit, mainly for eye framing purposes. I'm going to use the Luxie 221 flat definer brush and go into the shade Bare Root, which is that deeper shade that I used in my crease earlier. And I'm going to gently take this shade and start stamping it right along my lower lash line, just along my lashes. I'm not taking it any lower. Now that that shade is applied right along that lower lash line, I'm gonna go in with the Morphe M506 brush, and with this one, I'm gonna use the shade Hybrid. This one is not a powdery shade. This actually takes a lot to pick up on the brush. You can't just tap into it once and pick up enough to be able to apply it. It takes a lot of building up. And now I'm just gonna smoke this out on the lower lash line, right on top of the shade Bare Root. And I'm hoping that the deepness from Bare Root and the lightness from Hybrid will blend in together and make some kind of medium toned rosy brown. Oh, and I think that's what I'm getting. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that a lot. And then I'm gonna pull it up and around into the crease. This is where you bring it around town. Okay, I think that's really, really pretty. Now the last thing I wanna do is go back in with the Morphe M416 brush, back into the shade Belle of the Ball, and just make sure that my inner corner is just as sparkly and glowing as ever, because I did kind of cover that up with concealer after I got going on the face makeup, and that was no bueno. I need it back. Oh yes, there she is. Hello, Belle. I also want to let you guys know that I went in with my Fenty cream blush first in the shade Crush on Cupid, which is like more of a deeper pink, not quite a rosy pink, but almost a rosy pink. Then I went in with Cor De Rosa on top of it, the eyeshadow shade in this palette, and it is a beautiful blush shade. It really is. It's like that soft mauve-y, but more on the pinky side rose. But if you have that Fenty blush, they mixed together perfectly. I mean, well, you can see it. They are really pretty together. Then I went in with Belle of the Ball as a highlighter. That was a terrible mistake. Do not use that as a highlighter if you are anywhere near light medium or lighter. If you're medium or lower, maybe it could work for you, but it left this rose red cast on my face, and I had to go back over it with some Anastasia Amrezy highlighter and fix it, which it worked. Don't get me wrong, I love that highlighter. It can fix anything, just like Rodeo Drive. But it did take a little bit of fixing, so just keep it in mind. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my lower lashes off camera, and once I do that, I'll be right back to give you my final thoughts. Mascara on the lower lashes is now applied. So, what do I think of the Sigma Cor De Rosa palette? Honestly, I think it's a big old stinking piece of shiny goodness that I love to death. This palette is like, I don't know, if it wasn't obvious from the entire review and me talking about it the entire time, I just find the fact that it's so versatile. Granted, it's not a rainbow palette, you know, it's not that kind of versatile, but it's so versatile in the sense of it being a rose palette, because you have a lot of workability with it. You have many different rose type avenues that you can take, as I've said already. And I think that's really impressive, especially for a 14 pan eyeshadow palette, because I've seen so many eyeshadow palettes with 14 pans that don't have nearly the options that you can get with this one. Maybe it's because it's so matte heavy. I feel like you can build up more crease options. I feel like you can get a little more workability out of it, because a lot of the time a shimmer is just gonna be your top topper, you know, like your finishing aspect. The crease, in my opinion, is where a lot of the real work is and a lot of where the real look is, because the crease is kind of the base of everything. Then your shimmer just goes on top. But I feel like this palette has everything that I need in it. It has multiple options for transition shades and shades that I can change the color with. It has a icy, shiny highlight shade that's very metallic that I can use as an inner corner highlight and a brow bone shade. It has a deep brown as well as a couple of other deep tones that I can use to deepen up the crease and add dimension to the eye if I want, or even use as liner if I want, which I actually was gonna do, but I completely forgot to, and I had already put on lashes by the time I remembered. I digress. Either way, for 50 bucks, I would have said that it would have been too much for this palette, but knowing what I know now about the palette and the shades that are in it and how the formula performs, and that you get essentially 2 travel size Sigma brushes within the actual palette itself, I think this was well worth the money. I do. I thoroughly enjoyed the palette, thoroughly enjoyed the formula. This was the first time I'd ever worked with Sigma eyeshadow formulas, so I'm excited to have experienced this as my first palette with the brand, and I do look forward to experiencing more with the brand. But let me know what you guys think. Have you used the Cor De Rosa palette? Have you used any of the Sigma palettes? Actually, I don't even know how many there are. I know about the Enchanted palette, but that's it. If you have used any of them, let me know what you thought down in the comments. I'm curious just what you guys prefer from Sigma when it comes to their eyeshadow palettes and their eyeshadow formula. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you would give me a big thumbs up. It does help me grow as a content creator, and it also helps others find me and helps YouTube suggest my content just a little bit more. Every single like counts. You count. Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.